HP Service Anywhere, August 2014. Next slide, please. Can we get the next slide, please? Currently speaking is myself, Laura Walker. I have a few different roles. I'm on the board of directors. This year for Vivit Worldwide is the chapter and SIG chair. I also run the HP Service Management webinar, which this webinar is being, or excuse me, through the group, which this webinar is being run through. And I also work as a day job for HP partner Stratacom. We are a partner in the service management space since 2005, formerly a Peregrine partner. Next slide, please. The webinar today is brought to you by HP, so we'd like to thank them for taking time to visit with our group and share the updates on this exciting product line. Next slide. The speakers we have today, first we have David Barone. He is a distinguished technologist at HP Software and will be running us through our demo later in the presentation. We also have Mary Rasmussen, who is the Worldwide Product Marketing Manager at HP Software, specializing in Service Anywhere. Next slide. A couple of housekeeping. This session is being recorded live. Recordings will be made available to all Vivit members. You'll see that in your email following the presentations. We will also be doing a Q&A. If you would please use the questions panel to enter your questions. We will queue those up and answer them at the end of the presentation. Next slide. The webinar control panel you'll see pictured here should appear towards the right side of your screen. If you can click the orange arrow pictured here, that will expand and contract the slides, and you should see, once you click on that orange arrow, the questions panel to type your questions. Next slide. A couple of upcoming events we wanted to let you know about. We will be having our Mobility Virtual Summit coming up on October 8th. We'd invite you to join us. The link is represented here, and it will also be in the slide deck we email out if you'd like to click on the link and register for that event. Also coming up is the HP conference in Barcelona. It'll be held again at the Fira Barcelona Gran Via. The registration link is here. You can also find links at the HP website and the Vivit website if you'd like to do that earlier as well. Next slide. Some other news. We would like to invite you again to join the IT experts community. At this website and online community, you'll find forums, blogs, upcoming events. They also have a monthly newsletter they release. So this is a great place for experts, both at HP partners and HP software users, to join up, share ideas, and get information. We'd invite you to check that out. We also have online expert days coming up. The link provided in the slide here will take you to that information if you'd like more. Next slide. At this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mary Rasmussen with HP to get us going for the day. Mary?
Hey, thank you, Laura. And good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending on what part of the world you're in. And thank you for joining us today to hear about our latest update to HP Service Anywhere. You can tell by the slide here, we have kind of a summer theme going with the release since it came out at the end of August. And I think you're going to like what you see. Next. Today's agenda, I'm not going to go through every point. The key here is notice demo, 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 demo. This is a demo webinar, and you're going to be seeing live product, and we're going to get going right into it in a second. Next. Next. There we go. HP Service Anywhere, for those of you that have been on previous webinars or are familiar with the service, here is a synopsis of all the functionality within the service, and as you can see, it keeps growing and growing throughout the year. We've had multiple updates to the service, and it just keeps getting better and better. Almost every thing you see here was touched during this August release, and so for this webinar, we'll be showing you some of the new major items, but of course not everything. And if you need to see everything, then you'll want to go out and get a free trial. Just a reminder for those who may be new to looking at Service Anywhere, it is multi-tenant, it's SaaS, and it's built with big data. So one of the only or the only ITSM solution that truly has embedded big data, and we are going to show you big data right now. I challenge you throughout the demo to be looking, and you'll see how it's pervasive through the service, and it really pushes up the productivity of the users. Next. HP Service Anywhere, we like to say has connected intelligence. So we have a very engaging user experience. The service was built for purpose for ITSM, not a generic build. So the user interface we think is fabulous, and we hope you agree when you take a look at it. The earlier releases of Anywhere, you probably saw all our social IT management capabilities. We won't be covering those in this release, but again, if you get a free trial or you're already on the service, you'll be able to see those. And again, the big data platform is huge. It really it comes in every part of the service as you're using it, making sure knowledge is at the fingertips of the users, be it the IT analyst, the process manager, the admin, or the end user. And now we're going to go into a demo, and David's going to show us a little bit about big data.
Great, thank you, Mary. And good morning, good afternoon, everyone. So this is an exciting time to show you all kinds of previews in all of these themes that Mary introduced on what we have released now since the August release here this month. And I will start by showing here on the theme of big data a couple things. You'll see some things you are familiar with, as well as new things that we developed and released over the summer. And to begin with, you can see here our landing page in Service Anywhere, which itself is powered by our use of Vertica technology for big data reporting and analytics, with all kinds of new analytics that we'll look at here through our demonstrations today in various areas of the product. One thing that is key is that information is available to users both through the reporting analytics or through big data search. And as an example here, I will do a search for SharePoint to find out different types of results that we are bringing to the user based on our use of autonomy, big data search of both structured and unstructured data across information that's stored in Service Anywhere, or as you'll see, also information that can be stored externally on-premise at the customer site. In this case, as I search for SharePoint, we can see the variety of content that has been found. This first post here is something in a user forum that has questions and answers on this topic. We can see here that the search also found incidents that have been opened against the SharePoint service. Here's one where SharePoint can't be reached. I can drill down to look at the details of the incident, and I'll do that in a moment. We can see also how we have found offerings that are in the service catalog on requesting SharePoint sites. We can see changes that are open against a SharePoint service, and even different service components that make up the infrastructure for providing that service to the enterprise. We can even see news articles that have been posted. Looks like SharePoint service is unavailable, and this is a news article that has been posted, and it's available to users in various contexts. So you can see here a single search going across different things that could be relevant in this particular topic. If we look at one of these specific entries, for example, this incident, and drill down to look at it in detail, we can see how big data also searches and finds other things relevant within the context of a specific record. As I look at this ticket for SharePoint, for example, we can see an automatic search for relevant contracts and vendor information on who supports this particular service. You can see here on another incident as well. a relevancy of contracts and news articles that are related to the topic of this particular incident. So what we have is both the search that happens when somebody is explicitly looking for something, or an automatic proactive search that brings relevant, related information to the user according to the context of where they've navigated. One other thing that's very exciting that we introduced during the summer is our search of on-premise content. You can see an example here in this global search for SharePoint where we have found this external knowledge. It's a document for troubleshooting problems for accessing SharePoint. And I can actually open up in a new tab. And this is going to a SharePoint site that has been indexed on-premise and has found documents. In this case, this troubleshooting document where I can download it and open that document up and see the content that was posted in SharePoint on this particular topic. In fact, let's look at some other external content as well. External knowledge. We can see here another interesting post that is in a SharePoint site. This is a Service Anywhere Knowledge Overview. This actually happens to be a PowerPoint file that was stored in a SharePoint that was also indexed and has topics on SharePoint. Let's actually open that PowerPoint here real quick as an example of how big data, in this case, has extended our search externally. I can go here within the deck to find a slide that has information on SharePoint indexing that's part of our knowledge management content. What's exciting here again is you have access to all kinds of records that are managed as part of ITSM in Service Anywhere, or heterogeneous type of file content that could be found in your own internal knowledge bases, internal SharePoints, websites, wikis, all available to the user, indexed and shown according to relevancy within the click of a single search button. All right. Mary, I will pass it back to you.
Yeah, thank you, David. That was great. One thing I want to mention is that the connector to with SharePoint was introduced in the June update, and it is out of the box available to Service Anywhere users. So next slide. Another area that we have a lot of enhancements to for this release is our live support. As you may be aware with Service Anywhere, we're very big on the self-sufficiency, really spend a lot of time on our self-service modules and interface with the user so that users can collaborate socially, solve their own issues. They have access to all this great big data information that helps them solve their own issues. But there are times that personal touch is needed, and now we're at live support, and we have service request management, agent live support. We have a new feature that is actually not a touch, but it's a way for IT to get news out to the user called IT News. And we've also introduced an agent and user chat, and David's going to show you all this.
Great, thank you, Mary. So this is a very exciting addition to Service Anywhere. I will start here within my self-service portal. I've logged in here as a user. Julia Child is logged in here. She actually works for a Cool Cakes IT company, and this is the self-service portal where she can ask questions. And typically, again, we enable the big data search where users can search for information or navigation of content. And as Mary said, sometimes people want to go directly to request support, which let's say that Julia goes directly and clicks the request support to ask a question about something that's going wrong. This goes directly into our live chat type of support interface. It starts with a robot interface where the first few questions are asked automatically and guide Julia towards an area that may be helpful for her. So let's say that Julia is having an issue. She would say that, you know, post in that, that question, and Service Anywhere comes back with some suggestions on different support topics that could help with this question. We can see here's a specific support topic for reporting mobile phone email connection problems. There are other possibly related things. Maybe she needs to order a new mobile subscription or request a PC phone service as well. So these are relatively similar to the types of questions that she's posting here. You also notice here that, as usual, Service Anywhere brings other relevant information on the right-hand side. There are news articles. This is a new thing that we have enabled in August with news postings relevant to the context for the user that is in the system. There's a disruption to webmail, which may or may not be related to why Julia can get email on her phone. There's a planned downtime also for correcting that. We could see other articles and user questions that may be relevant. In this case, looks like this first link here may be quite what Julia needs. She can click on it, and the next form gives a guided question and answer interview on things that would be useful for an agent to find out about before they actually engage in a live chat. For example, they want to know, how is this affecting you? It's disrupting my work. Email has worked before on the phone. It doesn't seem to be webmail related. And again, what kind of phone am I using on? Right now, it's an iOS type of phone. Julia can submit this information, and at this point, she's given the option to chat live or to just let an agent look at that offline and respond when the solution is available. In this case, she does want to chat live and makes that request, and it's now put on a queue here where an agent will be able to help her as soon as they're available. Julia can wait here. She can also navigate to other places, do other searches, and that pending chat is shown here as waiting until the agent comes on. Let's take a look at the agent experience. I will come over here into our interface for agents. I have chat requests here showing an inbox of chat queues. Let me see, go to the right inbox. Where I can see as an agent people that are waiting to chat with them live, including this last request here by Julia Child on the email access problem. And the agent can simply pick that call up, click the live chat button, and start chatting away with the user. One of the nice things here that will happen while the agent is chatting is that on the left-hand side, we actually display a live support view of the ticket, which will provide information and context on what is going on relevant to the ticket. So let's see here. Live support is coming up. Julia's waiting here for the chat. Bear with me for 1 second. There it is. Okay. Julia, I can help you. As the agent types that question, we can see here on the Julia Child portal that you can see that chat initiated so that she can say whatever she needs back to the agent. Thank you. And the agent can proceed to provide information. One thing that's interesting, as I noted again, is that all of this is happening within the context of live support. So as the agent is typing away and chatting here, they are automatically provided some relevant information here from our knowledge base and big data that has different articles, related tickets, solutions that have worked before for this kind of problem that the agent can read and use to solve the question at hand with the person that they're chatting on live. So again, very powerful both in the dynamic use of big data brought to live chat and in the automation steps that guide the user towards asking something that will already provide information to the agent that is relevant for solving that support request. Okay. Mary, we'll bring it back to you.
Okay, great. So next we'll be showing some exciting enhancements that have been done in automation in HP Service Anywhere. So again, a productivity driver and also a risk reduction when you get smartly automated. And David's going to show us how this is going to work.
Very good. So this is a key theme that has formed a foundation for our August release. Automating smartly is something that we've done both through the introduction of some automation and out-of-the-box processes in a number of ways, from catalog fulfillment to bundling and request fulfillment, to automation that you can do through the use of orchestration, automation, operations orchestration, automation that happens to run runbook automation flows on-premise to enable further automation of your processes in a case where you want to, for example, automatically deploy changes on your infrastructure or do some configuration of something that you're fulfilling as part of a request. Let's take a look at a couple of examples. Again, I will come back over here. A typical example here, come out of this chat here, is around password reset automation. And similarly, perhaps Julia has a question. She can go directly to request support and state that I forgot my password, and get directed into an area where she can change a password directly on a reset the password. She could do it this way, or could also come in through a variety of ways, such as domain account and network groups. There may be a password reset. Let's see, do a search instead. Let's say that I do a password reset search, and I can find as well my direct links to make a request for resetting my password. In this case, I'm asked some questions such as, what is the account where I want to reset? There's a specific account login that I can enter. I can submit that request. Again, as usual, I'm offered the option to chat to someone as well, or just to let that be handled automatically offline, which would normally be the case for a password reset. And then we can see automatically what has happened on the back end. Let's take a look at the agent interface. And I've opened here a request that has been opened for password reset, just to show you what would happen. Let me zoom in so you can see it better. A request for password reset will automatically open a request that is categorized and associated with an automation flow that will take care of this without the need of any manual intervention by an end user. So we'll actually walk through, first of all, the process workflow, where the ticket will already be pre-classified. The first-line support will do the reset, as we'll see in a moment, through automation, and then that will be sent directly through acceptance with an email to the user with a new password, where they can confirm that things work, where they can confirm that the ticket is automatically closed. The key magic happens during the automation of the first-line support. At that point, we execute a task plan that has been designed specifically for resetting passwords. And you can see that the task plan has automation steps. You can see each of these tasks has the automation flag. The first one is for resetting a password. And if I double-click to look at the details here, which you can see this is a step that already executed automatically, this was a task that executed an automation orchestration flow on-premise that does the password reset. It already executed. I can actually see here a link to the task as an agent if I want to look at the details of that. In fact, I'm going to open that here in a separate tab just to look at what has executed on-premise. I will be able to log into Operation Orchestration and see details of the flow. And as that comes up, there it is. We can see that an actual password reset was executed and resolved completely. We can see the run details of the exact parameters of what was brought in for execution and the results of that execution. And as that happens, again, the completion code is set here as completed. A new temporary password is sent to the user. And then the next steps in the ticket are to set a completion code and a solution so that the ticket can be automatically closed and marked as resolved. So this is an example of an automation that has run automatically. And we have other examples that you can look at. Here's a very different type of request. This is an automatic system cleanup that somebody can request to free up space on their machine or on a specific server. And this also will run through a automation flow that starts with running a file system cleanup operation orchestration flow on premise. And as that succeeds, it sets all of the results, including the amount of information that was cleaned on the system. You can see here on the specific details of the request, the target host where the cleanup script is run, the file system that was requested for the cleanup, and the results that came back from the automation that tell us what was cleaned up on the system. File systems cleanup, system health checks, deployment of patches, password resets. These are all kinds of things that you can now seamlessly orchestrate from the task plan in Service Anywhere into an on-premise automation flow executed by operations orchestration. All right. Mary, back to you.
Oh, thanks, David. That was great. So next, we'll be showing analytics. It's one of my favorite areas. As you know, with reporting tells you what happened last month or last quarter, but by then it's kind of too late if you're getting some results you don't like. Analytics helps you look at what's going on in your landscape and do corrections as needed to help get better performance and better outcomes. And with HP Service Anywhere, we first introduced analytics in December in our platform. As you know, we came out in December with a brand new platform that integrated HP's Haven technology with all the big data and capabilities. And then in March, we introduced our first piece of analytics, which was hot topics analysis. And we're going to review a little bit of that today. But new in this release, we have new change analytics that I think you're going to find really exciting. And then also on the slide for analytics, the one before this one we're showing, there is a link because I'm not sure how much we'll be able to cover on hot topics since it's not new. But there's a really great demo out on YouTube of it. So David, take it away.
Very good. Thanks, Mary. We will look at both of the things that you see here in this screen for demonstration. A further look at the hot topic analytics, which has been further enhanced during the summer releases, and you are familiar with it perhaps also if you've seen previews of this from a little earlier in the spring, and then the advanced analytics that we have introduced here first in change management, and it's a theme that we are expanding throughout. So let's take a look at the hot topic analytics first. Again, you can access hot topic analytics from a variety of places. The idea here is to provide further information relevant to a particular process that you want to improve. So I'm going to look here at the process of knowledge management, which is all about managing knowledge and providing useful information to your audience that would help them be more self-sufficient. If we look at hot topic analytics, this is what will enable me to be more proactive in understanding where is it that I could introduce better knowledge or better support to topic templates that are relevant to the types of issues that users are asking questions about. This first pane that you see here shows hot topic trends around user questions that people are posting into social forums. We can see that a lot of people have questions on encryption, and as I drill into that, we can see that specific questions here on the right that people are asking questions about. It could be that it's a good topic for more knowledge or support templates. We can see also topics around Outlook that may be interesting. Or some are more generic. People are looking for information, and as we drill down, what is it they could find one information on, like information on smartphone support in the corporate environment. And what you can see here for any of these topics is the ability to select one or more questions and then create an article or create a support offering that will deal with this particular topic. The article bringing more knowledge to the user, or the support offering being able to have a template for requesting support on that topic. Again, you can do that for a variety of types of content. We're looking at this, in this case, for user questions. If I look at requests, we can again see what are people requesting support for. They are requesting support for virus issues, for example, or support for virtual environments that are having problems, of CRM application being down, or things that, again, that the user can't do. For example, they see people that have all these questions or requesting support for password expirations. And what I want to do is guide them here for these kind of issues to our password reset offering that has already been created. So you can very easily go over here and say, well, let's create an article for this. It's on expired passwords. And I'm going to put some new text. Let's say that I want to put a nice picture here for this. Let me actually, for a nice picture, let's go over here and do a quick password reset. Look at our offering. Not this one. Let's look at the offering that we had here. Nice. Let's put this text over here. So we'll put that directly in the article. Maybe put some picture here, and we can say use this offering. Use this offering to reset password, and we can put even a link here as needed. You can see a preview of what users would see when they're searching for information. By providing this kind of article, we have taken care of a specific trend that we've seen here at Hot Topics, because that article will now show up even as people start to describe a problem that they're having around password expirations. It will be linked to that kind of topic and suggest the article with the link that automatically guides them to the kind of automated support. And again, the whole idea is to make people more self-sufficient, and by targeting information with these analytics to where the information is needed, you are able to enhance that self-sufficiency. Similar analytics are provided in other areas, for example, in problem management, to find trends on incidents that indicate where you want to do some proactive problem management to find root cause and permanent solutions to very frequent type of issues or trends that are occurring in your IT environment. Let's look now at a different kind of analytics that we've introduced here over the summer. This is within change management. And it's all about change analytics. And let's navigate here through the change analytics menu to see what this is about. This is very interesting because we're using our Vertica Big Data Store together with details on actual changes that have been planned and executed in this particular department to look at various aspects that provide a window into of insight into how we are doing on change management in general. We can see here 3 different analytic reports. The first is a success rate on changes. We can see that there is right now an 83% success rate. We are trying to get to a higher goal target of 90% success. And we can see that across different categories. For example, here's shown across all changes, or we can look at the success for standard changes. Looks like we have a much higher success rate. And on the emergency changes, we are doing well as well. Normal changes look to be the ones where we have more opportunity for improvement. And as we look at this, we can see that the analytics actually go a step further in telling us how can we improve. It looks like we could gain another 6% of improvement in our success rate by looking at the changes that have been done against a specific service. If we improve the changes on the service, that would be a big gain. So obviously we've been having problems and changes related to that particular service. We can also see some other suggestions that our analytics reporting system can give us. Here we can see a comparison of what has made changes more successful in general. We can find very specific details, such as the fact that 50% of successful changes had a build and test plan formalized within the change, and only 11% of the unsuccessful changes have build and test plans. So it looks like doing better planning here in these areas would increase the success rate. We can also see the involvement of CIs, so actually tracking the CIs more explicitly in your changes has made a difference in the success rate. And this next one here is having an execution task plan. And this is a way that you can more formalize the plan that will both automate the way that you execute the change or the way that you organize the work assignments that are relevant to the change. And here we can see a big spike in success in the differentiation when almost 94%, most of the changes that were successful did have some kind of task planning associated with them. And then what's important is, this is great information. How do I now target the areas that I could be most successful in improving? I can see here two change types: increasing memory on servers or hardware upgrades. These are two specific change models that have been very unsuccessful, and I can target those for improvement. That's around the success rate. We can see here another analytic report on standard changes. This tells us how many changes are standard, meaning that they have been based on a formalized change model that has standardized part of the definition of the change. And we can see right now only 40% of our changes have been standard. And we can see why it's good to standardize. The standardized changes have a 50% shorter implementation time, according to the analytic reports of the data here. And they also have to be more successful. And we can see some suggestions for current non-standard changes that could be standardized with change modeling. And last but not least, in conjunction with our automation theme, you can automate smartly by automating where it will matter the most. And you can find, again, where is it that we're automating? Right now, only 40% of our changes have been automated. We can see against different categories like standard. Changes tend to be more automated than normal changes. And why is this an important thing to target? It shows us that we can save time. 4.3 hours is an average savings in time for the changes if we were to automate within this category, and then a percentage of where we've automated. And again, we get very specific recommendations. We could gain a very more specific savings in time by automating the Oracle upgrade or increasing memory. And this is based, again, on comparison of similar changes in that kind of category that have been automated, and we're done in that kind of less time. We could find other things also, such as a risk improvement for automation versus not automation. And such as you can see here, the success rate in general for automated plans has been 8% higher than those that not have been automated. The automation suggestions here would then lead you to go into a specific plan. Let's say, for example, that we look at the increased storage change plan. And we can define automation by going into task planning and define how we want to automate the actual execution. And the task planning would enable you to create both manual or automated tasks. So even just creating a manual set of plans that says who needs to do what kind of work, or adding automation tasks that could either do work on-premise by extending into operations orchestration to deploy or reset or test something with the server infrastructure. Or it could be an automation task plan that could execute a REST call to execute some other external application, or do an update to information that is managed within Service Anywhere, send notifications, etc. There's a variety of type of automation choices that you can take with automation business rules that can be easily selected and executed. One other thing to notice here as well, within the details either of a change model or within a specific change, is that we also show analytics that are specific to this context. So we can see for increasing storage that a quarter of our increased storage changes based on this model failed, and 75 of them succeeded. And we can also see the risk statistics based on this kind of model, and risk, again, associated to the kind of success rates and the risk assessments that were assigned to changes based on this model. So those are analytics now shown at a very specific context as opposed to the global context that we saw in the change analytics map. All right, Mary, there's so much more we could show in analytics, but pass it back to you for the next topic.
All right, great. Thanks. So I think everybody, if you got a feel for the analytics, it's really exciting stuff. So take a closer look at it when you have time. And the last demo series we're having today is on our IT asset management area. There was a lot added in this release to this area. So if you've looked at the service before and you thought we needed some more functionality here, well, you thought right, because we have it in this release. And David's going to go through and show part of IT asset management.
All right.
David.
Thanks, Mary. So this is an important area of expansion within Service Anywhere, the joint platform for ITSM and ITAM functionality. And I will show you some of the latest enhancements. There's been so much introduced in this area, I will only be able to give you a preview of some highlights. But let's again go into the system here. And I will start by going into Service Asset and Configuration Management area. As I come into this landing page, the first thing that we see is the dashboard of different types of assets, services, devices, etc., that are managed, and with statistics on how many, based on our Vertica big data analytics of the data that's being managed in Service Anywhere. One thing that we've added in this latest release is the variety of assets that we now track. So we've been managing IP-based assets now for some time, such as servers, computers, networks, clusters, etc. We've also been managing services, and it's something that has been added now are different peripherals and infrastructure, non-IP infrastructure, such as monitors, projectors, etc. So you can see the management of those as well. And as well as you can see here, the assets that are in stock. So stockroom management is something that we had started to support a few months back in the spring, and have greatly enhanced through some automation that I'll show you here in a moment around the use of assets in stock in the context of fulfillment of requests. Now let's look at a specific search. I will just search for the word demo here. With big data, I can do a cross search across all kinds of devices or assets in my infrastructure that have this as part of their name. And let's look at a interesting result here. This is a device that was found. It's a specific server that we are managing. Look at the details of the server and highlight key things that you should know from the management of this particular CI as an asset. The first, again, is that we have basic tracking information on the device. You can see the information tracked here on its various details, the owner that the device has been assigned to, the model that this particular device is based on, location where it actually happens to be, etc. And then we see all of the details, such as the hardware components, the software that is installed, the network, all of that based on discovery and updates from our UCMDB tight integration with the Service Anywhere. There's also further information that's brought in more through dynamic search and proactive association of other things that are related. Here we see related contracts that were found that are actually providing maintenance for this particular CI, and that's easily available, and you can drill down to look at the details of the contract. We see other information such as the details of this particular server, including a description and an image, its a history of when it was installed, who is actually supporting it, and for both first, second, and third level support. And then we see information for warranty and maintenance contracts and workflows that we have around retirements on this particular device. So all of this is part of the management. Keeping within the asset management of the device is the actual life cycle that we track, including where it is right now it's in use, or the life cycle while it's in stock or eventually retired. And so it's a rich life cycle workflow that you can use out of the box or further configure as needed according to your needs. An important area that we have now been starting to manage since our August release is related to the finances, financial information for the asset, the type of acquisition that's related to it, whether it was a purchase, rental, lease, or loan for the asset, the dates of acquisition, and the more financial information such as payment terms and the actual cost of related with it. Any external information for BOs related to the purchase of this asset as well are captured here. And for depreciation purposes, also the tracking of fixed asset associations for fixed asset depreciation calculations. So you can see that shown here. Of course, as we're gathering this information, you'll notice as well on the dashboard, let's go back to my dashboard screen, a number of reports that you can see out of the box that now take that information, such as here we have the stock financials for assets that are in stock, so we can find out the amount of value or cost that we have stored in different stock rooms. And you can see that by different types of stocks. And other analytics here that we've started to support here, not just around the finances, but also a drill down of assets by their different location, by their different type of asset. Here you can see an interesting report for license that we have by a publisher. This is related to another type of support that we've added in our August release for software license management, where we are tracking now the licenses that you have purchased, and you can start to track here the utilization of those licenses as well. And this is part of a broader roadmap that we have around software license optimization, where we will be adding true discovery of license use, and in future releases bring you compliance reports for license usage. So this first step of license management is introduced here as part of the release. Very good. Last but not least, I will just talk about this very quickly. One thing that we've added is also an automated stock room fulfillment that is associated with requests that come from the catalog. So I will show you this here briefly. I will look for a request for a new PC, and let's look at an actual request that somebody had submitted for a new personal computer that they need for the day-to-day work. And as we look at the request to PC ticket that was submitted through a catalog request, what I want to highlight is the task plan for this. See? there it is. The task plan that actually executed is part of an automation flow that we've introduced that automatically looks for assets that have been stored in stockrooms and then does an automation step to reserve the PC out of stockroom allocations, and from there passes on the reserved asset for various preparation and delivery steps that are part of the fulfillment. And as you can see, all of this is done, most of it actually just through pure automation, finding assets in stocks. Reservations are created automatically where a PC that has been found is reserved, assigned to the user, and then used for the fulfillment. So it's an interesting example of automation of use of IT asset management functionality from stockrooms and a tight integration within the IT service catalog fulfillment process so that you can have an end-to-end request to fulfillment type of support for this very common type of use case. All right, back to the slides. Just a couple things that I want to highlight in context. We've been seeing some previews of things that came out throughout our summer releases. And the summer release is something that we introduced starting at the very end of August, and then in these first couple of weeks of September have done updates of our various customers and tenants. One thing that you should note on the delivery of Service Anywhere functionality, we are on a continuous delivery life cycle and have been very quickly delivering new functionality to our customers. There is a continuous delivery update that occurs typically monthly where we can do enhancements or defect corrections, basic new features that are critical for customers can be introduced here through a continuous delivery cycle. And then we have our broader, larger releases with big chunk new functionality a few times a year. The summer release is an example of that. And these are releases that are introduced first to trial and development tenants, where you have the ability to preview the functionality and make some decisions of what functionality you actually want to enable in production, and work with us as we make those decisions and plans before an update of the production tenant takes place that will then introduce that functionality into the production systems. And you can see here a timeline for typical average dates when we did that with various customers. Gives you context on the functionality, and with that, I hand it back Mary to close here and to go over questions.
Okay, great. So if you're interested in learning more about Service Anywhere, I have some links on here for you to follow or check out. We have our ITSM blog on HP.com. Whether you're a Service Anywhere or Service Manager user or just a non-HP user interested in general ITSM topics, I encourage you to take a look at our blog. Our R&D team actually also posts to the blog. So there's a lot of interesting things out there, something for everyone. On Service Anywhere, there is a 30-day free trial for anyone that wants to take a closer look and play with some of this functionality you saw today. If you've had a trial before early on and you'd like to get a new trial, I'm not sure the system right now is set up to let you go in for a second trial. If you have any problems, drop me an email. My email is on here, and I will help you with any questions you have outside of this, or if you want to get that free trial set up because you're unable to do it online. And I also put a couple interesting articles for you to look at from the Discover Performance blog. That's a general HP blog, and there's all kinds of interesting thought leadership articles out there around IT, not just ITSM, but the whole area. So if you're not following that blog, you might want to take a look. I included two articles in particular for the ITSM area that are fairly recent that I thought were really interesting and you might enjoy. And we also, of course, like all companies and all people, are on Twitter these days. And if you'd like to follow us on Twitter, I've given you some of the account numbers there to take a look at. So I think we're ready to get to questions. There we go.
Okay. Great. Thanks, everyone. The first question we have, will Service Anywhere be replacing Service Manager on-premise?
Mary, do you want me to take that, or do you?
Yeah, you can. Go ahead, David.
Okay. Yeah, great question. We are not replacing Service Manager. In fact, Service Manager continues to be a heavily invested on technology and product at HP. We're introducing a lot of great new features there, and in fact, are working together across both teams in various of the innovations, such as analytics and big data search that are also being introduced in Service Manager. And the products are in some way targeted for different purposes, where Service Manager is very much our on-premise solution. Service Anywhere is designed from the ground up for cloud, SaaS-based deployment, multi-tenant deployment, and so those are key differences. And we will continue to support best-in-class on-premise and best-in-class cloud-based solutions with each of the products.
And I'd like to add that we do have, with Service Anywhere, we do have a bi-directional connection with Service Manager that came out with this release for those that would like to use both. But again, as David said, we're strongly continuing with both of these offers.
Correct. And I'll add one thing. That is a great use case if you're looking at a case exchange between Service Anywhere and Service Manager. For customers, actually, that some customers are introducing a mixed deployment models for certain lines of businesses where they're introducing Service Anywhere and then doing a case exchange with a central Service Manager environment. I can provide you more information on that.
Okay, great. The next question we have, does Service Anywhere Agent Portal support multi-tenancy?
Multi-tenancy?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, very good question as well. So Service Anywhere, in general, is a multi-tenant environment. You can choose to deploy multiple tenants that are fully, separated in terms of data content. The portal that you have here has various types of options in terms of segregating of data that you display. You can segregate content by organization or location as one way to have separation. If you have multiple tenants, a feature that we are adding here in our roadmap is also going to enable a fully separate multi-tenant environment for self-service support that then can be managed by a consolidated single inbox for agents that are providing support across those different tenants. Today, each of those agents would log into different inboxes in each of the tenants for supporting each of the self-service portals that are part of different tenants. And we're moving towards that consolidated cross-tenant in the roadmap.
Okay, great. Thank you. The next question we have, will these asset types in SACM be synchronized with the on-premise UCMDB CI types?
Yes, everything is synchronized. We have a technology called our on-premise bridge that was built from the very start, designed into the way we created our Service Asset Configuration Management module to work with the on-premise bridge to synchronize with the on-premise UCMDB.
Okay. The next question, can a business partner have a trial account for 30 days for labs?
Yes, you can request trial accounts and just go to Pronk. Go to hp.com, select to request a trial, and you can get a 30-day trial. If you are a business partner that requires longer than 30 days, you can work with us, contact Mary and with questions on that. And,
okay.
And we can look at the situation for longer periods.
Okay, great. The next question, does change management tie in with HP PPM change software?
The change management with PPM, repeat the full question, make sure I get it.
Does change management tie in with HP PPM change software?
Okay, very good. You can create integrations with REST APIs to tie in to PPM. It is something within the technology that can be done. We have an important theme roadmap around a tighter tie-in that you will see coming across project portfolio management and Service Anywhere. So if you have specific use cases you're looking for there, we'd be very interested in hearing from you as we roll more out-of-the-box type of support for those use cases. Today you could do it through configuration integration technology.
Okay. We have someone who would like to learn more about the Service Anywhere integration with UCMDB. Can you talk a little bit more about that right now?
Sure. It's of course, a broad subject. And what I can tell you just as a best practice, UCMDB and Discover, of course, run on-premise. We have on-premise bridge and out-of-the-box predefined integration flows that will synchronize the data coming in. It is a very efficient type of architecture that includes data queuing. So you have millions of CIs that have been discovered. Of course, there's a first discovery and then a delta update as changes are made, where only deltas need to be submitted thereafter, but still go through our queuing, integration, and storage into Service Anywhere. Within Service Anywhere, as you saw, you can see CIs, you can see relationships that were also brought over through integrations, showing you the different relationships and impact analysis is based on that. Attributes, we looked at CPUs, installed software, network components, etc. Of course, all those attributes are available so that they can be readily available within Service Anywhere. And then within Service Anywhere, you have both a visualization map that shows the relationships that already been synchronized, but you can also, from any CI, click a button to launch the UCMDB browser so that you can live, be looking at a CI in Service Anywhere and then do further drill down navigation within the UCMDB if the user has those kind of rights and need. So it's very tightly integrated both from the data perspective and from the actual usage. And again, we can talk a whole hour just on the details. So if you have specific questions or want to have a conversation on that, again, contact us. We'd be happy to reach back.
Okay. I think we have time for one quick final question. Someone on the call is an HP Service Manager consultant and is wondering, is there a way to maybe excel or accelerate training for HP Service Anywhere consultant?
Accelerate training? Good question. We do have training programs. I don't know on the acceleration piece. And Mary, I don't know if you know anything relative to that context. So there's standard training. We're also, by the way, looking at setting up a certification training program where you will not only be trained but also be able to have certification for Service Anywhere. That's in the works, and we'll have information on that. And then on the specific of acceleration, I don't know unless Mary, you have something on that.
Yeah, if you're an HP partner, we have a lot of online training. I wouldn't say anything is accelerated, but if you need specific information on training, why don't you drop me an email? We'll get on the phone.
Okay, thank you. That wraps up our presentation for today. If you could pull up a final slide for me, I'll review a couple items before we hang up. So just wanted to remind you to thank you for attending and to let you know there's a short survey and opt in for more information from HP. If you do opt in to hear more from HP, you'll be entered into a drawing for a chance to win a $100 American Express gift card. I believe that wraps our presentation. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Thanks to our speakers, and we hope you'll join us again soon on the next webinar for our group. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.